What up though, Field G's, and welcome back to Luke G's Field Review. Man, I am back at it again with another video. This time we are talking about NBC Sports, who did a very nice job of being somewhat neutral slash pessimistic slash fence riders slash truthful slash liars. That's a lot of slashes, you may be thinking. But as we sit here and we get ready to go through this video, which is about 5 minutes and 23 seconds long, you will figure out soon enough that there's just some things that need to be pointed out. So to kind of give you a quick little gist of what's going on, they are going to discuss the Detroit Lions offseason, and they're going to ask the question, or answer the question of, do the Detroit Lions have more work to do? So let's get into it, people.
As the head coach, Bob Quinn's been there longer than that. The general manager, both trace back to Patriots DNA. Both are trying to turn the Lions, Chris, into what the Patriots have been. They don't want to be 9-7 every other year and go one and done in the playoffs. They want to build a team that will be 12-4, 11-5, and a consistent contender.
Now, first things first, because I know many of the subscribers on my channel and many of the Lions fan base who come in and don't subscribe all seem to think that there's this negative thing to want to be like the best, or that there's this bad idea that, oh, they're trying to be the New England Patriots. Well, I don't mind trying to be a team who's been to more Super Bowls than I can count on two hands, and I don't mind being like a team who's won a great deal of Super Bowls. It has not had too many bad records. I think they average on about 11 wins a season. Now, there are a lot of factors that contribute to that, and none of them have nothing to do with the quarterback. I know somebody's going to say, well, they have Tom Brady. Yeah, that has nothing to do with it, because when they had Matt Castle, they still went 11-5, okay? Now, stay with me, people, because what this right here is doing is setting the table for what they're going to say and explaining what the Detroit Lions are to do and are going to do. So let's take a listen.
To get there, Patriots DNA being infused into the Lions. Trey Flowers, Patriots defensive end, big money contract to bring him to town. A guy like a Danny Amendola who comes to Detroit by way of Miami, but at one point a key member of the New England Patriots.
Now let me just start right there. A key member of the New Orleans Patriots. Funny. Could be a slip of the tongue. But let's look at the notable draft picks right here, people. TJ Hockenson. Jelani Tavai. Will Harris. That's the most notable one. I would think Mario Warrior would be more notable, but that's just small talk. Okay. Key departures. Are we really losing anything losing Ziggy? I don't think so. Are we losing anything losing TJ? Maybe. Are we losing anything losing Gary Blunt? Certainly not. But let's just go ahead and pay attention, people.
It's New Orleans Patriots, New England Patriots. No, they have not moved. Do not freak out. The Patriots have not moved to New Orleans. So anyway, I look at the Lions offseason and I say this is another step in the direction of making this team into the team that Matt Patricia wants. Whether or not it's going to work remains to be seen. But this is all about a team that has guys that Matt Patricia looks at and says, these are the guys that I think I can make into a team that has that same mentality of the team I was with for 14 years in New England or New Orleans.
I mean, you're right. I mean, it really is. It's a complete 180 just in the Bob Quinn era into Matt Patricia as far as a changing of a culture of a football team. It really has. You mentioned some of the names. Yeah, those are New England guys. Justin Coleman, they got him in free agency. He at one time was in New England, before he was at Seattle in his last stop. So there is a culture change there. It's pretty remarkable, really, when you think about it. The Detroit Lions a few years ago were a spread-it out football team just 3 years ago, and Matt Stafford's going to throw the ball everywhere around the field and make it happen with his arm, and they're going to have no run game, and there's not going to be very good pass protection.
Now I want to start right there because it's almost like the media know what's going on. And for those who do not know, that person right there on the camera is one Mr. Sims, okay? He has played in this league before. Didn't do much of nothing, but he's been in the league, okay? So let's just talk about some things really quick. I want y'all to pay attention to how they talk about the Lions. And then I want you to listen to how they switch it. And what I mean by switching it, I mean that they're going to talk some things that are true, and then they're going to ride the fence and still say how the Lions are not going to be that good of a team. And it's crazy to me to think that they're going to take this approach. Now, there's some things in here that they're going to say that are absolutely true, but we'll get into that. So let's continue.
To now, they're a team that I go, whoa, this is got this potential to be one of the better offensive lines in football. They got an awesome running back. They don't have any good receivers. That's one of my...
What did he just say? Let me go back. I'm hard of hearing, people. I'm hard of hearing. Let me hear what he just said. They don't have good what? Let me hear this.
Better offensive lines in football. They got an awesome running back. They don't have any good receivers. That's one of my concerns.
That's one of your concerns? They don't have good receivers. Interesting. Okay. All right, people. Again, we'll let him finish talking. He may have some logic behind. Let's see if he's got some type of legitimate statement here. Let's go.
It's really Kenny Galladay, who's good, but I don't know if he's a legit number one receiver.
They only got Kenny Galladay, who's good, but I don't know he's a legit number one receiver. And he wonder why he's not in the league. Just answer this question to me, Mr. Sims. Who was the number one receiver when Marvin Jones was out all them games? Just curious. Who was that guy? Maybe it was TJ Jones. Maybe I'm crazy. Let the man keep talking.
They get Gronk as in TJ Hawkinson, so I like that. But they are still in the midst of changing a team around from what they once were. And I think they are on the right track, ultimately. The thing I like about them more than anything, offensive line, very good. They've used a lot of high picks to improve the offensive line. Defensive line, man, do they got a lot of big bodies on their defensive line as well. I kind of mentioned it. The things I worry about more than anything with them, wide receivers to take a little pressure off the pass game, to make big plays, difference makers in the secondary. I know they got Darius Slay there, but the rest of the secondary is kind of or I have questions about it.
Now, I can understand his conclusions with the secondary. Not going to kill the man on that. Is the secondary unproven? Absolutely. Are they a product that you need to take a look at and say, okay, they can be better? Possibly. But are they in the cellar to go, I don't know if they're there yet. But to sit there and say the receiving situation lets me know that somebody's not watching this team closely enough. Now, some of y'all are going to agree that we don't have enough receivers, but I can assure you that is what they said when we got Kenny Galladay. So let's just go ahead and listen.
They're an interesting team overall.
I think one of the big regrets for Matt Patricia was not changing offensive coordinators right out of the gates last year. It just didn't work for Jim Bob.
Now, hold on. He says, I think one of the biggest regrets is not getting rid of who? The guy I won't even name right out the gate. Now, there wasn't too long ago where I made this statement that the head coach has absolute power over decisions that are made, and there's a chain of command. And one of the things you want to do when you first come in is evaluate your team. Now, if you're going to evaluate your team in a way, you need to be able to look at what that offensive coordinator that you had was doing before you got there and immediately identify what he was doing afterwards. And this is where it brings me to that point in games where he's not changing calls. That falls on the head coach, because Bob Quinn has said many times, I am going to get the people that Matt Patricia wants. I'm never going to give a coach players or coaches that they do not want. So that lets me know that it was a Matt Patricia decision to keep that offensive coordinator, who I would not name, on the Lions. So I think he's right about that.
Cooter. So now Darrell Bevell, after a year out of football, is back, and he is going to run that offense. Now, Vikings fans who remember Bevell from his time running their offense, we're happy to see Bevell come back. But Bevell...
Were they? I'm not trying to be funny, but were they? Were the Vikings really happy to see Darrell Bevell come back to the NFC North? Because when I checked, that offense did a very good job running the ball with Adrian Peterson and Brett Favre. And before that, who were they quarterbacks? Brad Johnson? I mean, let's be honest, people. Who did he come in with at quarterback to do what he did until he got Brett Favre. And that team was scary. It was very scary. They had enough to create havoc with the run game in Brett Favre. So if Minnesota Viking fans are excited to see him back in the division, wait, we'll see how much more excited you are when he implodes the same offense he used to get y'all up to the playoffs and through it, you know, on you guys. I'm just saying, please be excited about it.
Is not a bad offensive coordinator. There's a ceiling there that he hasn't been able to bust through.
Yes.
Maybe he can bust through it as a member of the Detroit Lions. But
now, this is the interesting part of it because he said there's a ceiling he has not been able to bust through. So I guess when they won that Super Bowl and went to the next one the next year, he never bust through. Okay, media, keep on spinning it. Let's go.
But this is all about culture, and it's been so hard for players who are used to being, you know, handled a certain way by a team that has been bad for 60 years for the most part.
Right.
The media up there doesn't like it, Chris. They don't like this.
Now, listen. This is shameful. I'm going to tell you what's shameful about this. This is NBC Sports. NBC Sports. They have a national stage. How do they know that our media don't like this team? How is that possible? How is that possible? Unless it's just true. Let's talk about it.
Standards, they don't like the rules, they don't like the expectations because they're used to an organization that just kind of floats.
Yeah.
And what Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn are trying to end is this concept of this team that just floats. They want them to have direction and focus, and they want them to be a double-digit win team every single year.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, they're working towards that, and they're following their plan and what they know as far as building a football team.
I love what he just said there. They're working towards it. They're following their plan. They're keeping close to what they're going to do to build a football team. And that's all we can ask for, people. When people sit there and say, oh, I'm not buying, I'm not getting into it, I'm not with it, it's because you're not willing to see the moves that are being made that make sense, that should bring success, that should be the difference maker. And too often, we're not getting that level of respect. But everyone wants to believe that if we just win, baby, as the late L. Davis said, then everything fixes itself. But we know from the New England Patriots that winning does not keep haters away from the building. Let's go ahead and let this man keep talking.
Which is, yes, the New England way. And they're getting New England type of football guys in there to win those games. Now, they're in a tough division. We know that. I mean, you mentioned it. I think if we looked at their roster overall, we would all agree that they're the least talented roster in the NFC North.
What? What did he say? If we all looked at it, we can all agree that the Lions have the least talented. So let me just go ahead and put this out there, ladies and gentlemen. I am going to make a video about that. And I'm just going to be honest about it. I'm going to make a video about it. And we're going to find out, do they really have the least talented team in the NFC North? Is this true? Because I'm going to make a video about that. Because even without me looking at it from the perspective I want, I know that's just not true. Again, this is much more of riding the fence. It's almost like, yeah, let's talk them up, get them good. But now we're going to bring them back down to earth. But we almost at the end. Let's finish this.
North at this point, because the NFC North is really good. I mean, that's the first thing. But to me, the biggest thing with the Detroit Lions was last year was the first year I saw Matthew Stafford struggle as a quarterback. And I know people out there are going to go, what do you mean? I mean, he's had other years. No, Matthew Stafford's been the reason Detroit's even been somewhat relevant for the...
Hashtag facts. Hashtag facts. The national media knows this. I done brought on a number of people from different other outlets who knows this. Why don't our fan base know this? You know what? It's because of the local media and their approach to tell you that he ain't no good. Even though he the only reason we even have fighting chances. And you may say, well, Luke, that can't be true. Then who's been the offense? Tell me that. Because we sure ain't had no run game. And if we ain't had no run game, the next question I'm going to ask you is if we have top receivers, who's throwing the ball to them? Boy, food for thought. Let's talk, people.
The last 8 or 9 years. But last year, I will admit, he did not play well. He did not adjust to the culture change. Oh, gosh, we're going to run the ball on first, run the ball on second. Now you got to throw the ball. You know, he was used to kind of playing backyard football, you know, pick up basketball, whatever it may be. And now Matt Patricia came in and he manages situations and wants the game called a certain way and wants his quarterback to play a certain way. And I do think it messed with the psyche of Matt Stafford a little bit.
I mean, I'm not going to say Matthew Stafford didn't buy into the new culture change. I'm just not going to buy it. I'm just going to say that I do think that sometimes when you've been doing something for so long, when you change it up, it is a bit of a shock. Like, oh God, I'm going to actually be able to turn around and hand the ball off. It's a shocker to people. But I'm not going to act as if though that it was some type of issue with him that had him off. I think it was a bad offensive coordinator and a head coach who held on to said bad offensive coordinator too long. Once they got to a certain point that you knew they was no longer in the playoffs, I felt that once again Patricia should have fired him and went out and signed his offensive coordinator then. But that lets me know that at the end of the day that didn't happen, because what that tells me is they probably had somebody else in mind and we didn't get him, and they went with their second best option, which was Darrell Bevel. Nonetheless, I don't know if I agree with Mr. Sims on that.
And it's not an indictment of Stafford. He was there for a decade with different levels of expectations, different systems, different rules, and now all of a sudden he's being coached like Tom Brady's coached, and it takes some time.
Yes.
You know, he used to just kind of do his own thing, and now he's being expected to do things a certain way, and this is going to be the year that we find out whether or not it works.
And this is going to be the year we find out whether or not it works. Let me just go ahead and put this out there to you people. I think that this is going to be the year it's going to work. And the reason I think that year is going to happen is because for once, they are truly committed to running the ball. They are getting role players that make it hard on the other teams. When you go through and you look at this team, you're not going to tell me that this team is a 6-10 team. And if you are going to say that, tell me why. Is it because the roster's not talented? Is it because you think it's poor coaching? Is it because of schedule? Give me the list of reasons why. And I think if you're honest with yourself and you do certain things and you say, well, it's because we're not the most talented team in the division. When I'm done with my video, we'll find out if that's true. Okay? With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to share this with you because there are so many things in here that I truly appreciated in terms of what NBC Sports did. But I think that there was a little bit of the fence riding. On one hand, they want to kind of praise Detroit, but on the other hand, they're putting caution to the wind. And honestly, some people may say, can you blame them? Yeah, I can. Make a bold statement. Make a stand on it and stand on it. And if you're not willing to do that just yet, then just speak about all the good things and call it a done deal. Now, if you want to speak about the good, the bad, and the ugly, fine. But there was little to no ugly to talk about. And that's just the reality of it. Okay? That's it for now, people. Thank you for watching. Please hit that like, subscribe button. Link up with me on Twitter, Discord. It's all in my description. And as always, I leave you with this great piece of advice. Don't be no chump. Please do your research.